And thank you very much for making a date with me today on the marketplace. Let's settle over a very fair story. The Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU, has rejected imposing insurance policy on members by the state insurance company SIC and the Ghana Education Service. The move, according to the union, is as a result of a decision by some members to sign on to various personal insurance policies in the country. In an interview with Joy Business after a press conference in Accra, Acting General Secretary of TEU, Mark Denchira Kranche, warned that members will embark on an industrial action if it continues deductions from their salary.
Even though when the management of GES came out to say that if people don't want it, they should rather opt out, as if we have already signed a contract to say that I am in, and then now that I don't want it, I'm opting out. We have not had any agreement to that effect. But even that, members have filled the option out form, and yet they are being deducted, and that is our concern. So we are thinking that management is not being fair with us. They should let us sit and have these matters resolved. The deductions that have been made so far should be refunded back to our members.
The money should be refunded?
Yes, yes, because it is an unwarranted deduction, an illegal deduction for that matter, and therefore it has to go back to the people.
But have you engaged SIC themselves, or have they engaged?
We have had discussions with SIC, and SIC know our stance. In fact, SIC was the one who was going to finance our going round to sensitize our members on this policy. Unfortunately, when they did it for the first time, they couldn't come back again. I don't know for whatever reason. So we have made our positions very clear, and we are not backing out on these positions.
Well, so we'll be exploring more of this particular development in our subsequent bulletins. But let's still stay within insurance. And telecoms giant MTN Ghana will, in the coming months, roll out an insurance cover for all its mobile money agents across the country. For some time now, mobile money agents have become victims of armed robbery attacks and other forms of assault. Speaking to Joy Business at MTN's Mobile Money Stakeholder Forum, Head of Mobile Money Services, Elihini, explains the progress made so far in running this insurance plan. Charles Aite has more in this report.
The threat of armed robbery attacks on mobile money vendors and sometimes customers continues to affect the industry and undermine the very essence of mobile money services. At the MTN Mobile Money Stakeholders Forum, Head of Mobile Money Services, Elihini, explained that a special insurance will be introduced by end of the year to protect agents.
I've worked with 2 insurance companies already who have provided us a product bespoke for their use, and we are discussing with their leadership to make sure that we can meet their expectations with regards to the product. And once their expectations are met, we can roll out those insurance products for them.
Meanwhile, Elihini has also disclosed that mobile money agents are being trained and sensitized on best ways to remain safe while going about their business.
We also want to continue to educate them to also manage their physical environment and ensure that they also do not overly expose themselves in their activities in that regard.
The mobile money industry in Ghana has blossomed over the past years, making the country one of the leading economies in sub-Saharan Africa when it comes to financial services.
And that was Charles Aite's report. Away from that, Cocoa Board is now expected to go ahead and sign the loan syndication deal with more than 20 banks next month in France. This was after it secured Parliament's approval to borrow up to $1.5 million to finance cocoa purchases. The following Business Desk report has more.
Sources close to Cocoa Board say it has already secured the required commitments from some banks that are prepared to lend to Cocoa Board. These loans are expected to help Cocoa Board to finance purchases of cocoa beans from October 2019 to July 2020. However, what many would be looking out for is the price or the interest that is expected to be paid on this loan, especially looking at the recent plan of Ghana and Ivory Coast to have a new floor price for cocoa purchases from 2020. The $1.5 billion is slightly higher than the $1.3 billion that Parliament approved for Cocoa Board last year. But looking at the developments in the industry, will this 1.5 billion cedis that has been approved by Parliament be enough to address all the problems? Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahin Edu, has explained to Joy Business why they're being moderate with their borrowing requirement.
Tread cautiously, even though our production had gone above 900,000 metric tons, we tread cautiously because of the falling price of cocoa. Because when the price of cocoa is falling, you need larger volumes of cocoa to collateralize. And some may ask, if your production is going up, why don't you then go and...
Well, we are learning that some $300 million has already been secured through a medium-term facility from some of the 22 commercial banks that will be supporting Cocoa Board's syndicated loan facility, while $650 million should come in from the African Development Bank to support Cocoa Board's operations. The drawdown of the funds should be released from October this year and is often done in tranches. The inflows would also go a long way to help stabilize the cedi in the last quarter of this year.
Now, Ghana's leading beverage company, Guinness Ghana, has cut down on raw material importation as it sources a greater percentage of the materials locally. The move falls in line with government's call on manufacturing companies to source most of their raw materials locally to support economic growth. Bismarck Ausa was at the official launch of the product in Accra and now reports.
The new Guinness Smooth is made from 70% natural ingredient from Ghana, brewed with fruity and butterscotch flavor to provide a distinctive and perfect bittersweet taste of smoothness and refreshment. Guinness Ghana says the latest addition was crafted with a Ghanaian consumer in mind and is a new expression of Guinness developed by master brewers. Addressing the media at the launch, marketing manager for Stout and RTD at Guinness Ghana Breweries PLC, Samuel Derry, said his outfit does not only seek to cut down on costs but also create jobs in the country.
We pride ourselves as looking forward to help the value chain. We source sorghum locally from the north, and it affects the value chain from there. So 70% of the constituents of the ingredients that we have, the sorghum and the maize that is used in brewing this variant, comes actually from Ghanaian farmers. It has a trickling effect on the economy. Once we source locally, people within the value chain, the farmers, the aggregators, farm hands, all get to benefit from the brands that we sell in the market. And so it helps boost the economy and helps put money in people's pockets.
Celebrated female brewer at Guinness Ghana Breweries PLC, Margaret Nkrumah Bimpon, says the company's success thrives on innovation.
We always do consumer research. We always try to understand what the consumer wants in Ghana so that we meet the consumer's expectation. It's also in line with the fact that Guinness is into innovation and it's key to our business. And Guinness as a family, we always try to do expressions of ourselves.
On his part, Guinness master brewer Peter Simpson is optimistic the entry of the new product onto the market will go a long way to increase the company's market share.
The very first thing that we need to know before we create a new beer is who's going to drink it, why they're going to drink it, where they're going to drink it, and when. And it's going to be absolutely huge in Ghana. I can see this going a million miles, and that'll be all with your help.
Some customers present at the launch had a taste of the newly added product. The product is currently undergoing a test market in Accra and will be rolled out starting October 2019 to cover the entire nation by the end of the year. Bismarck Awusa's report for Joy Business.
Now, cost of power remained a big challenge for businesses in the second quarter of 2019. This is information from the latest Business Barometer report by the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI. To this end, the AGI has impressed government on the need to prioritize policy interventions towards accelerating growth within the industrial sector. Charles IT has more.
The second quarter of the AGI Business Barometer report exposed some issues in the economy that government needs to prioritize with policy interventions towards economic growth. Top on the chart was the high cost of electricity tariffs. CEO of the association, Sekchu Makwabwa, is appealing for immediate solution to this issue.
The Business Barometer measures short-term view about the business environment. So anything that is very pertinent then comes out quite strongly. You know, if there are issues, for example, when the city depreciated, everybody became very agitated. So then it becomes a big issue. So, but if you reflect, over the years, for the past 10 years, access to credit has always been a problem.
In all, business confidence for the second quarter of 2019 rose up to 103 points, up from 99.3 points in the first quarter. Also, the exchange rate was seen to have stabilized over the second quarter, a development the AGI has attributed to some prudent economic reforms, including the reduction in policy rates.
Business confidence appears to be bouncing back from 99.28% to 103.2 points in this second quarter, which according to our barometer that we just discussed. Nonetheless, we all know there's still high cost for raw materials, high cost of electricity in our part of Ghana as compared to the ECOWAS region.
Meanwhile, the AGI is projecting a deepened economic confidence in the third and fourth quarter of 2019.
And in another development, the Association of Ghana Industries has described the suspension of the power agreement with the Power Distribution Service, PDS, as worrying. The AGI is demanding strict focus on local participation and local content moving forward. President of the AGI, Dr. Yao Edujemfi, says as industry awaits outcome of investigations on some inconsistencies within the agreement, use of local internal long-term funds must be considered.
Signing of the compact in 2014 and the subsequent engagement of power distribution services as the new distributor seem to have ordered some relief in the side of our power sector. Our expectation of the compact to play a pivotal role in transforming the power sector remains high, and this potential game changer in our energy sector. But it is very worrying, therefore, that the concession agreement arising out of this compact upon further due diligence is reported to be fraught with possible breaches on the insurance guarantee, which has led to the suspension of the agreement. AGI believes the government's intervention through the suspension of the agreement is timely to secure at least the national access of 18 billion belonging to Ghana, and also make a way that a thorough investigation will continue, that the end of this matter will be dealt with. While we wait for the outcome of these investigations on the agreement, AGI would like the government to consider the following. One, the efficiency goal in the power sector must be maintained. Two, the competitive tariff must be dealt with. And the local participation and local content must be dealt with.
This is live on the marketplace with me, Emmanuel Boaji Biafi. Let's turn our attention to another story within the financial sector. A report titled "A Recapitalized Banking Sector, a New Breeze for Value Creation" from Central University's Unit for Financial Studies has highlighted the need for financial literacy to be added to educational curriculum. The report says this will help increase knowledge and awareness of the financial system and help with effective management of individual financial resources. The 2019 edition of the Banking Sector League report chronicles a multiplicity of factors, including efficiency of banks to develop the financial sector. Now, authors of this latest report also examined the impact of corporate governance on profitability of banks. But what more can we learn? Joining me to help analyze the report is Joy Business researcher and analyst Philip Naufuru. Philip, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel.
Give us a snapshot first of that report.
Okay, so kudos to the Unit for the Financial Studies of the Central University College. A very detailed report, over 100 pages, close to 133 pages. And they've delved into the banking sector. They've looked at a multiplicity of issues, like you said, from banking efficiency to size of banks with regards to assets, with regards to how much loans banks in Ghana are giving out. So they've even given a ranking of which banks in Ghana are giving out the most loans. They've also given out a ranking of how efficient banks are using deposits to create loans. Okay. So the report is very detailed, but I focus on two key parts: financial literacy and the impact of corporate governance on the profitability of the firms. And like we have on our screen there, you look at financial literacy and you ask yourself, you know, for the past 2 years, we've been discussing a lot of issues in the financial sector. And you realize that with the preponderance of fraudulent schemes, pyramid schemes, etc., it calls into questions people's knowledge about the financial system and how it works. Just to sum it all up, the authors of the report are saying that, first and foremost, they gathered evidence from a survey that was done somewhere, and it says 68% of adult Ghanaians do not possess the needed financial literacy and skills to optimally maximize benefits from their finances. Simply, people don't really understand how to use their money to generate money, how to even manage their finances, how much should we spend on the kids' education, how much should we channel here. And now they are saying that we should put financial literacy in our curriculum. Please go ahead.
That's what I mean. I bet to differ on this, because I think that even if it is introduced compulsorily at the basic level of school curriculum or so, it wouldn't be the need. I mean, it wouldn't be everybody who would want to, I mean, study something on financial.
Emmanuel, you are right. Even in my days in University of Ghana, there were some compulsory courses, what we call University of Ghana required courses. Some of them I didn't want to do them.
Exactly.
But coming out of the university, I realized the need for it.
Okay.
So there was one called critical thinking and logical reasoning. Yes. At the time we were doing it, I hated it. But when I came out, I realized how important it was. And you see, use of money is an everyday activity. So apart from putting it into the curriculum at the basic level, they're even saying that, at the tertiary level, we only have the business school teaching business courses. So you realize that business students will be well versed, but even them are not very well versed in all the issues.
When it comes to financial issues.
Exactly. So apart from that also, on the informal side, so that's the formal side. They're saying on the informal side, the NGOs, for example, can use some of these their outreach programs to educate. On the national level, the Ministry of Finance, in collaboration with all the regulators of the financial industry, should come together and find a way of using both, one, financial resources, and two, non-financial resources to spread the education or financial literacy within the country. And that's one way of looking at it.
All right. I think it's quite debatable. But the report also cites, a correlation between, profitability and corporate governance. How can you explain that?
So we've heard the term corporate governance a lot as one of the causes of the banking sector failures. Now they're saying that corporate governance, what is it? When your firm is run smoothly, is run efficiently, all things being equal, there's an impact on how things are done. So let me give you an example. Poor corporate governance will lead to loans given to family, friends, cronies, etc. If you have the right structures, you have the right credit risk management processes, you can see where your funds are going, you can track these funds, and all things being equal, you make your money from the loans you give out. And your bank won't be subject to the human caprices of one person. It has to go through a system. And banking, as we have seen for the past 2 years, is not a small boy's business. It's a big boy business. So
and how much percentage is going for this particular session?
So we need to look at how the corporate governance aspect, and that's why the Bank of Ghana came out with their codes, guidelines, because they know the impact of corporate governance. And financial literature has gone deep on its impact on the firm's efficiency and how the firm grows. And if everything goes all on right, then there's an impact on the firm's profitability in the long run.
All right. Anything else about it?
Well, in subsequent bulletins, we would furnish our listeners and our viewers with their rankings of how the banks did and which banks are being efficient. So we should look out for that also.
Right there. Thank you so much. And that was Philip Namfuri bringing us up to speed with details of a survey that has come out regarding effective management of financial resources and the fact that we need to introduce this into our educational curriculum. Let's turn attention to other stories. Acting Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Eko Afeji, says he supports a mix of legislation and moral suasion to aid listing of multinationals on the market. George Rafi has been engaging the boss of the local bourse on the rest and has the rest of the story.
The Ghana Stock Exchange's board's comments is coming on the back of recent proposals on one of the surest ways for locals to benefit from these multinationals is by ensuring that they are compelled to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange. But Mr. Fezi argues that maybe we have to look at a little bit of legislation and moral suasion to bring these companies onto the local bourse.
Let's use the MTN example. It was because of
the requirement for acquiring a 4G license. So they had in their rules or requirement that you must give a certain percentage to the Ghanaian public. That was a very nice way of doing that. So some come say you can do it through the licensing regimes for the various sectors. Others will say we better use more assuration because it's a business decision. Nobody pushed Talo to come. Talo believed that once we are doing oil production in Ghana, let the Ghanaians also benefit from the wealth that is being created in Ghana. So we have to have a balance of more assuration and maybe exploring some licensing regimes that can make some of these companies get on board. But it's not an easy task to get some of these multinationals to go on to.
Mr. Fezi also talked about some new measures that they are planning to introduce to help improve liquidity on the market.
We need to create certain features in the trading rules or systems in order to allow liquidity to happen. For instance, in other markets, they have what they call short selling. You can sell what you don't have. The new Securities Industry Act allows it, but they're saying don't sell short naked. Cover it. So we introduce what we call securities lending and borrowing. So you can borrow some shares, sell, buy back later on, and give out. Together with Bank of Ghana and DFM, want to introduce repos on the repurchase agreements on the bond market. That is another way to go. Want to introduce
some clarity on this whole repos. Is it the bit about the monies that these foreigners bring in for the purchase?
No.
Or which one? Sorry.
No. Generally, in simple terms, I give you money, you give me securities in return. At the end of whatever arrangement we have, you have to return the securities. That's what virtual repos are all about. But the one that we want to introduce, when the securities move, the ownership will move. And therefore, they can also do whatever they want to do with the securities. But then you must get them back at the end of the day to wherever you got them from.
He's also been speaking about his appointment as the acting boss of the Ghana Stock Exchange.
I come with a lot of experience. I've been involved in almost all the key developmental issues. Let's start from automation that you see the floor today.
Beautiful one.
Yes. I led the team to do that. I led the team to set up the Ghana alternative market. And the recent one that I'm so excited about is the Ghana fixed income market. And that is what is going to drive the capital market going forward. So I've been involved in all these things, as well as many other things that have led to where we are today. And I'm hoping that I'll do more to enhance the image of the market, to make sure that the market becomes more relevant in the development of the economy.
For a lot of industry watchers, Mr. Fezi's job is cut out for him, looking at his experience on the Ghana Stock Exchange and what he really has to do to make the market the preferred place for raising capital for businesses and enterprises out there.
Now, before we go, Senior Fellow at the Institute for Fiscal Studies, Dr. Said Boache, is calling on government to speed up investigations to unravel circumstances that led to the $300 million loss recorded by the Ghana Manganese Company Limited. His comments follows the shutdown of the manganese mining firm by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources after an audit into its operations. According to Dr. Boache, the management must be made to face the law if they are found culpable.
If the company is not being profitable, something has to be done. Permanently shutting it down may not be the way to go. But if it's to be shut down so that new management is instituted, that will make profits, then I think that there's no problem with that at all. At the end of the day, you extracted these resources, they have ready market. I don't see why you can make profit. You have to be able to make profit. So if the government feels that they have to shut it down in the short term to bring new management, reconstitute it, I don't think it is a bad decision, because the status quo cannot continue. First off, investigation, of course, needs to be instituted, and if they are found culpable, then they need to be punished. It is not, at times, wrong decisions can be made. But if it is those wrong decisions are intermingled with deliberate actions to defraud the state, then of course they have to be punished. But it is not every loss-making company that is involved in wrongdoing. It may be just wrong management style. So, investigations have to be instituted, and if those involved have deliberately costed the nation, then they have to be dealt with.
And that'll be it for the marketplace today. Thank you very much for making time on the show today. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good afternoon.